All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of Enzo Ferrari.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Exactly. But when you think about Ferrari, you think about those sleek cars, the roaring engines, the checkered flags. But where did it all begin? What were the early days of Enzo Ferrari like?
Well, that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're going back in time to the 1920s, the golden age of motor racing.
Ah, the 1920s, that's when racing was really a test of nerves, wasn't it? I mean, talk about dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. You weren't just racing other drivers, you were racing death itself. Open cockpits, minimal safety measures. You had to have a certain fearlessness just to get behind the wheel.
And Enzo Ferrari, he thrived in that world. He didn't just survive, he conquered.
It's true. Those early races were his crucibles, shaping him, pushing him to hone his instincts, his understanding of risk and reward.
So let's rewind to the very beginning. 1919, Parma-Brescia, Enzo's first official race.
A young man, practically a nobody in the racing world, gets behind the wheel, and what does he do?
He comes in 11th place. Not too shabby for a rookie.
Not at all, especially considering the competition, the cars, the conditions. Just finishing a race back then was a feat.
And finish he did. In fact, in those first 39 races, he snagged 9 victories.
See, 9 victories, that's not just luck, that's raw talent and determination. Every race was a learning experience, every win, every loss.
And speaking of learning experiences, there's this fantastic story from his second race, the 1919 Targa Florio. You got to hear this.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So picture this. It's race day, the biggest motorsport event of the year, and where's Enzo? Stuck.
Stuck? How? Car trouble?
Nope, even better. Stuck in his hotel elevator.
No way! On race day? You're kidding.
I'm totally serious. 2 hours, he's stuck in there.
Oh, the agony. I can only imagine the frustration, the feeling of time slipping away.
But here's the thing. He finally gets out, he rushes to the race, and you know what? He still finishes.
Unbelievable. That's determination for you.
Right. But wait, there's more. By the time he crosses the finish line, everyone is gone. Officials packed up, spectators long gone, even the timekeepers.
No, what did he do?
He finds a lone policeman standing there, pocket watch in hand, who casually records his time.
Oh, that's priceless. You can't make this stuff up.
You really can't. But these stories, they tell you something about the man, don't they?
Absolutely. A certain tenacity, a refusal to give up, even when the odds are stacked against him.
And that brings us to a pivotal moment in Enzo Ferrari's life. Joining Alfa Romeo in 1920. This was a game changer.
Oh, this was huge. This wasn't just another racing gig. This was the beginning of a 20-year relationship that would shape the future of motorsport.
And really shape Enzo Ferrari as well, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt.
And Alfa Romeo, they quickly recognized his talent. It wasn't just about driving fast. Enzo, he had this innate understanding of the machines.
Oh, absolutely. He could push those cars to their absolute limits, really get a feel for their potential.
And Alfa Romeo, they knew they had something special on their hands. So he rises through the ranks, starts as a test driver, then a racer.
A natural progression, right. But then he even spends some time on the commercial side of things, which I always found interesting.
It's like he wanted to understand every facet of the business from the ground up.
Exactly. And that experience, it proved invaluable when he eventually became head of Alfa Corse, their racing division.
Yeah.
Talk about a meteoric rise.
And this all leads us to, I think, one of the most intriguing parts of his early career. The 1924 French Grand Prix in Lyon. This is where we get into, well, a bit of a mystery.
A mystery. Color me intrigued.
So picture this. Lyon, 1924. Alfa Romeo arrives with not 1, not 2, but 4 of their incredible P2 cars.
The Alfa Romeo P2s. No, those were machines. Powerful, sleek, ahead of their time in terms of engineering.
State of the art for sure.
Yeah.
And behind the wheels of these P2s, some of the biggest names in racing at the time, you had Giuseppe Campari, Louis Wagner, Antonio Ascari.
Legendary drivers, each and every one of them.
And of course, Enzo Ferrari himself. The atmosphere must have been electric.
Oh, I can only imagine. The roar of the engines, the crowds, the anticipation. It must have been incredible just to be there.
Absolutely. So Ferrari, he participates in the practice runs. Everything seems to be going smoothly. And then...
Don't leave me hanging.
He vanishes, returns to Italy right before the main event. No explanation, no official statement, nothing.
He disappears. What on earth happened?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? To this day, nobody knows for sure why Enzo Ferrari pulled out of the 1924 French Grand Prix. It's become known as, well, the Mystery of Lyon.
The Mystery of Lyon. I like the sound of that. It's like something out of a spy novel.
Right. And there have been theories, of course. Some say it was a strategic decision by Alfa Romeo. Maybe they were trying to play the field, hedge their bets.
Team orders were a different beast back then. A lot less transparency, a lot more cloak and dagger.
Exactly. And then there's Enzo himself, a private man, not one to air his dirty laundry, so to speak.
So we may never know the real reason behind his sudden departure.
We may never know. But here's the thing. Even without a clear explanation, this mystery of Leon, it adds this layer of intrigue to Enzo Ferrari's story, don't you think?
It certainly makes you think, doesn't it? What was going through his mind? Was it a strategic decision? Personal reasons? We're left to speculate.
And that speculation, that's part of the fun. But what we do know is that this event, this mysterious withdrawal, it takes place just a few years before Enzo Ferrari takes a giant leap.
A giant leap.
In 1929, he breaks away from Alfa Romeo and forms his own racing team.
Wait, he leaves Alfa Romeo after all those years to form his own team.
He does. He forms Scuderia Ferrari. And the rest, as they say, is history. Scuderia Ferrari. It's amazing to think that a small racing team, founded by a man who walked away from a giant like Alfa Romeo, would go on to become, well, Ferrari.
It's a name that's synonymous with speed, luxury, power. It's a global icon.
And to think it all started with a simple idea. Build something extraordinary.
And build something extraordinary he did. But you know what I find most fascinating about Enzo Ferrari is that he achieved this monumental success by, in a way, going against the grain.
What do you mean?
Think about it. He didn't inherit a fortune. He didn't come from a privileged background. He was a driven, ambitious young man who learned his craft in the trenches of motor racing.
He earned his stripes, as they say.
Exactly. He wasn't afraid of hard work, of taking risks, of pushing boundaries. And that's reflected in everything Ferrari, the company, represents.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, we can't forget that incredible moment in 1951, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Ah, yes. Ferrari's first Formula One victory.
Against all odds.
And who did he beat to claim that historic win? None other than Alfa Romeo.
Talk about a storybook ending. The student surpassing the master on the world stage.
It was a defining moment, not just for Ferrari, but for Enzo himself. To finally step out of the shadow of his former team, to prove that he could not only compete with the best, but beat them at their own game.
And I always found it so poignant, the words he spoke after that victory. I have the impression of having killed my mother.
It's such a loaded statement, isn't it? So much emotion packed into those few words.
Right. You have this incredible triumph, this sense of accomplishment, but also this undercurrent of, well, sadness almost.
Like a bittersweet victory. As if part of him regretted having to prove himself against the very people who had given him his start.
It speaks to the complexity of his relationship with Alfa Romeo, don't you think?
Absolutely. It wasn't just a business relationship, it was deeply personal. There was respect, admiration, even a sense of indebtedness, perhaps. But there was also this burning desire to forge his own path, to create something uniquely his own.
And maybe that's the ultimate legacy of Enzo Ferrari, that even amidst the roar of engines, the thrill of victory, the pursuit of excellence, there's always a human story at the heart of it all.
A story of ambition, of struggle, of triumph, and yes, even of heartbreak. And it's those stories, those human elements, that make this deep dive so captivating.
Absolutely. It reminds us that behind every iconic brand, every legend, there's a person with dreams, aspirations, and a drive to leave their mark on the world.
And Enzo Ferrari, he certainly left his mark. He took his passion, his vision, and created something truly extraordinary.
And that's what makes exploring his story so fascinating.
It's a reminder that the road to success is rarely smooth, that there will be twists, turns, and even a few mysteries along the way.
But it's those challenges, those uncertainties that shape us, define us, and ultimately make the journey worthwhile.
So the next time you see that prancing horse emblem, remember the man behind it.
Remember Enzo Ferrari, a man who dared to dream big, who defied expectations, and in doing so, changed the face of motorsport forever.